I mean, this is going to sound somewhat melodramatic, but I was worried about that it was having a corrosive effect on civilization. I think part of it is that it's where it was located, which is downtown San Francisco. And while I think San Francisco is a beautiful city, and if you've walked around downtown San Francisco, right near the ex-FK Twitter headquarters, it's a zombie apocalypse. Now you have to say, well, what philosophy led to that outcome? And that philosophy was being piped to Earth. A philosophy that would be ordinarily quite niche and geographically constrained, so that the fallout area would be limited, was effectively given an information technology weapon to propagate what is essentially a mind virus to the rest of Earth.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Benny. You don't need my introduction for Elon Musk and Joe Rogan sitting down together, two of the most powerful men in the world, two of the richest men in the world, maybe by finances and net worth, and maybe just by intellectual firepower and by audience. Of course, Joe Rogan, the most listened to man on earth based on the subs for his podcast and based on the sheer magnitude for his effect on culture. So when the two titans sit down to talk, it is hysterical to see how much they enjoy each other's company, including but not limited to shooting one of the new Cybertrucks with a bow and arrow. Watch.
We'll get a sense of it here. Just don't, have the arrow come back and... I mean, just beware of ricochets. You might want to do it at a slight angle. You know what I mean? Look at that. There it is. Very nice. See this? Blew the arrow apart. Nice. Yeah. Flatten the tip of the arrow. Look at the tip of the broadhead. That's impressive.
But the fascinating part of the very long podcast here that we're going to condense for you is the greater woven fabric of why Elon Musk took over X and the extinctionists versus the humanists. This was the greater crux of the conversation. They talked about George Soros. They talked about climate change. They talked, obviously, about what's to come. But the two of them really got down into the blood and guts of what it means to be a human and what it means to be pro-human. And why it's so evil to have the government infesting like a cancer every element of our society. A beautiful conversation. Have a listen.
What has it been like? You've owned X for a year now.
Oh, yeah.
Do you ever wake up in the middle of the night and have a dream that you didn't do it? And your life is infinitely easier?
Well, it's certainly a recipe for trouble, I suppose, or contention.
What was it ultimately that led you to make the decision to do it?
I mean, this is going to sound somewhat melodramatic, but I was worried about that it was having a corrosive effect on civilization. That it was just having a bad impact, and I think part of it is that it's where it was located, which is downtown San Francisco. And while I think San Francisco is a beautiful city, and we should really fight hard to kind of right the ship of San Francisco. If you've walked around downtown San Francisco, right near the ex-FK Twitter headquarters, it's a zombie apocalypse. I mean, it's rough. Have you been in that area?
Not lately. No.
Yeah.
I've heard.
It's crazy.
I've heard it's crazy. I've heard you really can't believe it until you actually go there.
You can't believe it until you go there. So now you have to say, well, what philosophy led to that outcome? And that philosophy was being piped to Earth. So, a philosophy that would be ordinarily quite niche and geographically constrained, so that the fallout area would be limited, was effectively given an information weapon, information technology weapon to propagate what is essentially a mind virus to the rest of Earth. And the outcome of that mind virus is very clear if you walk around the streets of downtown San Francisco. It is the end of civilization.
And it's not just propagating the mind virus, but suppressing any opposing viewpoints.
Yes. Well, in order for the virus to propagate, it must suppress opposing viewpoints. So,
because it doesn't stand up to scrutiny.
Correct. You know, he is, I believe, the top contributor to the Democratic Party. The second one was Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah.
So, and Soros, I don't know. I mean, he had a very difficult upbringing. In my opinion, he fundamentally hates humanity. That's my opinion.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, well, he's doing things that erode the fabric of civilization. You know, getting DAs elected who refuse to prosecute crime. That's part of the problem in San Francisco and LA and a bunch of other cities. So why would you do that?
Was it humanity, or is it just the United States as a whole? I mean,
he's pushing things in other countries too,
He's
not
doing
just
the
here.
same thing?
Yeah. Now, George at this point is pretty old. I mean, he's not, you know, he's basically a bit senile at this point. But I mean, he's very smart, and he's very good at arbitrage. You know, famously he shorted the British pound. That's sort of how I think he made his first money, was shorting the pound. So he's good at spotting, basically arbitrage, like spotting value for money that other people don't see. So one of the things he noticed was that that the value for money in local races is much higher than it is in national races. So the lowest value for money is a presidential race. Then next lowest value for money is a Senate race, then a Congress, and but once you get to sort of city and state district attorneys, the value for money is extremely good. And Soros realized that you don't actually need to change the laws, you just need to change how they're enforced. If nobody chooses to enforce the law, or the laws are differentially enforced, it's like changing the laws. So you have to say, like, how could AI go wrong? Well, if AI gets programmed by the extinctionists, its utility function will be the extinction of humanity.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, particularly if...
They won't even think it's bad, like that guy.
Right. What was that like? Because that, to me, that was the most bizarre, was the Twitter files. When you let Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi and all those guys get in the Twitter, and the response where Matt Taibbi gets audited. I mean, which is just wild. I mean, it's just so blatant and so in your face.
Yeah, it's weird. No, I mean, the degree to which, and by the way, Jack didn't really know this, but the degree to which Twitter was simply an arm of the government was not well understood by the public, and it was whatever the official government. I mean, it was like Pravda, basically. You know, a state publication is the way to think of old Twitter. It's a state publication.
And was the justification from their perspective that they are progressive liberals, they have the right intentions, it's important that they stay in power, the progressive liberals stay in government and power, because this is their...
There was basically oppression of any views that would even, I would say, be considered middle of the road. But certainly anything on the right. I'm not talking about like far right. I'm just talking mildly right. The people, like Republicans, were suppressed at 10 times the rate of Democrats. Now, that's because old Twitter was fundamentally controlled by the far left. It was like completely controlled by the far left. I'm pro-environment, but the in the limit, if you take environmentalism to an extreme, you start to view humanity as a plague on the surface of the earth, like a mold or something.
Right.
But this is actually false. The Earth could take probably 10 times the current civilization. The population you could 10x the population without destroying the rainforest. So the environmental movement, and I'm an environmentalist, has gone too far. They've gone way too far. If you start thinking that humans are bad, then the natural conclusion is humans should die out.